This is one of our Thursday Zoom meetups, and they're the public-facing part of the vidwheel Creator Network. What is the vidwheel Creator Network? It's a group that brings together solopreneurs who aspire to take our businesses to the next level using self-produced video. We draw on the experience of the community and industry experts so that I can help guide you through the process of making video and making it work for your business, giving you better reach, efficiency, and growth. If you find that intriguing, please come out to one of our next events. Today's event is part of Live Production Month here on the VCN. It's part of the programming tied to that month. And this month, we're exploring live production and how it can help your business utilize video in more efficient ways. Next month is going to be social media month. We're going to do a general social media best practices type month, and we'll be kicking that off on March 2nd with a presentation by Samantha Pilling called Social Media Video Ads When Organic Reach Isn't Enough. If you want to come to that presentation and all future events for the VCN can be found at events.vidwheel.com. And I will drop, that is in the video description for the live stream. So we're going to move on to the main event. I will be presenting myself today, and we're going to talk about unbelievably easy talking head videos, instant talking head videos with OBS. So I will spotlight myself. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. Let me just get my presentation stuff kind of lined up the way I need it here, and we will get rolling. So my name is Neil Carroll. I am the founder and owner of vidwheel LLC, and today we are going to talk about instant talking head videos. As I mentioned, the name of this presentation is Unbelievably Easy Instant Talking Head Videos with OBS. Instant Talking Head Videos is a term that we use a lot within the VCN, and they're great videos as a way to kind of dip your toe into creating video content without investing huge amounts of time or learning a lot of new skills. They also allow you to quickly make content when inspiration strikes or in those, oh no, I got to post something type moments. They're a great way to show off your face and allow your audience to get to know you a bit more. They work well in any space where you're directly addressing someone, but it could use a little more polish than, say, a cell phone video or a simple Loom video. And finally, instant talking head videos are a great base video. That's why I chose the image of Ramen for the cover. An instant talking head video is, for one, quick and easy. They can keep you fed in their most basic form. But if you learn how to add ingredients, tweak techniques, and experiment with these setups, you can go from that college block of ramen to a fulfilling and delicious meal, or video in this case. If you find that intriguing, I should let you know that this presentation will be turned into the base for a course that'll feature everything that we learned today, plus lessons on skills like changing the video aspect ratio to different formats for different platforms, creating and adding animated overlay graphics, and generating the burned-in caption titles for your videos. If the course I just described sounds interesting to you and you're in the meeting or watching via live stream, type instant into the chat and I'll be sure that you're notified when the course is available. You can also go to instant.vidwheel.com where you can find this presentation deck right here and a replay of the presentation that I'm recording right now. And as soon as the course materials are available, I will put a link up there as well. So Instant talking head videos. Let's look at an example and we can kind of go from there. Oh, I've muted it. More about creating. Hello there. I am excited that you want to learn more about creating instant talking head videos. I'm going to teach you in about 15 minutes how to create a video just like this one. Okay. And so it's a simple video, right? It's got that full screen video. We do that simple lower third, and then we bring up a simple close graphic. In this presentation, we'll get into it. We're going to go through the setup of how to create that type of video in OBS. I'll show you the production process, which is super simple. And we'll talk about the secret to making sure we get it all done. First, we'll jump into the setup. This is the hardest part. It's going to be the biggest part of our presentation at about 12 or so minutes long. First things first, what do you need to make this type of video? You need a camera that you can access via or as a webcam. So that can be a built-in webcam, an external one, or as a lot of us use in the VCN, a external mirrorless camera that we can you get set up with a different piece of software. And if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out and I can help you with that aspect. The other thing you'll need is a microphone to capture audio. Again, this can be external. It could be built into your computer. You'll need a concept or a script. Now, I recommend that you keep these concepts or scripts super simple, especially when you start, because you're going to be knocking out the full talking head video in one take. So, something like what I did there, that 18-second video, you can pull that off. You'll also need OBS installed on your computer. Good news is OBS is free and open source. You can go to obsproject.com to download and install that software. Next, I'm going to walk through the setup in OBS on how to make one of these videos. This is a pre-recorded 12-minute lesson. So, feel free to reach out in the chat if anything pops up or comes to mind, and we'll cover it at the end. Okay, the plan here is to quickly go through how to set up OBS to make instant talking head videos. When you first open the program, this is what OBS's setup will look like. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to rename the scene down here under scenes. It defaults to that. We are going to right click it or control click it on a Mac and hit rename. We're going to call it base. Now, this is technically not required, but if you follow our systems through the VCN on how to set up OBS and you get into more complex setups, this is a best practice that will really help you down the line. And you'll even see some benefits to it as we set up this instant talking head video. So get in the habit now. After we've renamed this scene, we're going to start adding sources to our setup. We'll start with video. So here under the sources window, we're going to hit the plus sign and we're going to choose this second last option, video capture device. That'll bring up a window and we are going to name it M50. This is again a best practice when you're adding devices to your scene. Try to use a name that makes sense. So M50 is the model of the camera I'll be using. So I'm going to use that. And we hit OK. And it brings up this window. And you can see it defaulted to a different one of my cameras that's plugged in than the one I'll use. That's my Logitech Brio. But if you hit that drop down next to device, you'll get an option for all of the cameras that are plugged into your computer or other devices that you can utilize. I am going to use EOS Webcam Utility because that is the piece of software that hooks up to my M50 camera. And there we have it. You have a lot of other options here. For your first video, I'm going to recommend that you don't do anything with them. So I'll hit OK. And you can see now my video feed is on my base canvas, which is good. We've got video. I'm just going to pull on this corner until it clicks into place. And now I've got a full screen video feed. To me, this is a little disconcerting because it's not mirrored video of myself. I recommend that you right click, go to transform, and choose flip horizontally. Now it'll feel more like you're looking in a mirror. When I do this, it feels like a mirror. A lot of video chat programs and so on do that automatically. And whatever you're most comfortable with is appropriate there. So the video is all set up. Another thing that we are going to do is bring in some audio. As you can see down here under audio mixer, my M50 source brings in no audio. There's no levels, which means we're not going to capture sound if we were to record right now. So sources plus sign, the second option here, audio input capture. We're going to hit that. Again, it's best practice to name, if you know the device you're going to use, the name of your mic or anything, go ahead and put it in there. I'm going to go Q2U. I've got a Samsung Q2U plugged in that I am going to connect to. Here under the device menu drop down, I find that Samsung Q2U. I select it and I hit OK. Now you can see under Q2U, I have levels. So at this point, we've got video, we've got audio. You could make a very simple video here, but we're going to add a few more elements to it. Now we're going to add another scene. So under scenes, we're going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to call it LT for lower third. A lower third is that graphic that shows up right down here with your name or contact info, position, that type of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and call it LT. I'm going to hit OK. You'll notice now there is no video feed. We're going to take care of that by going down to sources, hitting the plus, and instead of putting in an individual video capture device and audio device, we're going to choose scene, this option right here. And we're going to choose add existing, and we're going to hit base. Now, this may seem like a small thing, but one of the big advantages here is any changes I make to my base scene. Say I get an updated camera, I decide to change my framing, zoom in a little more. If I make those changes here in the base scene, they're going to filter through to any of the other scenes I've created. So best practice. So we've got the base scene in the lower third scene here. You can do overlay lower thirds with images or videos if you have them. What we're going to demo today is how to create a really simple one with a color source. So you saw I hit the plus sign, you go to color source. We are going to call this just brand color, I think, for this example, because we'll be reusing it in the last scene as well. So we'll do brand color, we'll hit OK. So you just go to select color and it'll bring up this interface. You have an option to choose from all of these basic colors. If you like the looks of one of those, you also can put in your hex code right down there if you know your brand color hex code. Or, and this didn't used to be available on the Mac, but was available on PC, you can choose pick screen color, which if you hit that, then anywhere this plus goes, whether it's on your next monitor or not, will be your selected color. I happen to know my hex code, which I clicked on off the screen. It is 003460. That's this darker blue that we use in our brand colors. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. I hit OK. So you can see that we have it now. We're going to hit OK. And then again, we'll resize. We'll pull this down until work on the width of it, because we're going to do something different for the height. So if that width looks about where you want it, then for the height, you can actually hold down Alt and pull down from the top, and that will allow you to crop that color source as well. So now we have this little block down here in the corner, and we are going to add some text to it. So again, under sources, we're going to hit the plus. We're going to hit text. We're going to call this name.
Pairing.
We'll hit OK. The text window, much like the other windows, you have some options. You can change your font here. Let's go with this. Italic. This is typically what I use within my own branding. And I will put in my name. You have the option to select the font. You put your text in here. And then you have the option for color. I'm going to stick with white because I'm putting it on that dark blue, but you do what's appropriate for you. And hit I will put in my. So I've got my name. I'm going to size it so it fits nicely in here. So we've got text and we've got it over a color block. The next thing we're going to do is create a close scene. So back down to scenes, we're going to hit the plus sign. We're going to call the scene close. We're going to hit OK. Under sources, again, we're going to hit the plus sign. We're going to go to scene, and we are going to choose our base scene. Now we're going to cover up the video on this close scene, but for audio integrity, it's still best practice to bring in that base scene. So we're going to hit plus again. We're going to go to color source, and we're going to choose add existing and that brand color that we created. Part of the reason for that is you don't want to end up mistakenly choosing a slightly different color or something like that. And then we'll come down to sources. We'll hit the plus sign and we'll choose text. And this text we're going to call closed text. Hit OK. Best practice would be to choose that very same font. We'll come on down, find that Roboto, do that, hit OK. In this text area, I will put in the web address to find this presentation and all of the elements that are tied to it. So instant.vidwheel.com. That looks good there. And this preview is important because that's what it'll actually look like. We'll come down and hit OK. Looks right, but it's a little much. So I'm going to pull it back just like this. And they have added snapping features in OBS, so you should be able to pretty easily find the center, but you can also use these numbers. So 460 on either side, 330 on either side. That's how easy it is to create the scenes. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go check out some of the recording settings to make sure you're all set up there. We're going to hit settings. We're going to go to output. Here under output, you're likely going to be set up with an output mode of simple, which will be a setup a lot like this. Down here under recording, you want to look at your recording path and put those videos where you can find them. You can do that by browsing and picking a folder or just typing in the path. The next thing you'll want to check here is the recording quality. I find indistinguishable quality large file size works well for the system I have. You could drop down to this high quality setup as well, but choose one or the other and maybe you test them and see what works best. Recording format. This will default to FLV. I recommend you change it to MP4. And the reason you want to do that is MP4s are the most universal file format. The last thing here, you'll likely only have the option for a software encoder, but if you do happen to have a video card in your computer, go ahead and choose that encoder. So we're going to hit apply here. And then we're going to come over to the hotkeys. This will be the last step. I like to keep this really simple in terms of recording. You can already go through the scenes with the arrow keys on your keyboard. So what I recommend for people is that you simply add to that functionality by under Start Recording. If you hit that, press the left arrow on your keyboard, and under Stop Recording, hit the right arrow button. You're going to apply those, hit OK, and then you'll be ready to record. And that is it for the setup for your instant talking head videos in OBS. Okay, so setup is done. That I can make that video available if you want to be able to walk through it step by step. It's also at instant.vidwheel.com, or will be shortly. Let's get into the production, which is the easier part of this. I recommend, first of all, when you're looking at your video feed before you record, that you follow video best practices. You want good lighting, a quiet area. We actually have a free course called Video Confidence that's linked right here in the presentation. If you want to go through and take that course, it's 25 minutes or so, and we'll cover all of the elements of getting a good looking video feed. But it's pretty simple here. I'll go through the settings for how to record right here in this next video. Okay, we are going to go through the production process of these instant talking head videos. It is super easy. I even put an inset video here showing my hands on my keyboard in real time, so you can see how I use the really simplified hotkeys. So the first thing you want to do is click on your base layer. That needs to be highlighted and active for these hotkeys to work properly. But with that base layer highlighted, you're going to hit the left arrow key. You're speaking to the camera. If at any point you hit the down key, your lower third will come up. And as you approach the close of your video, all you have to do is hit the down key again. And when you're finished recording, you hit the right arrow key. And that is it for recording an instant talking head video. Okay, so you can see that. You can see how simple it is once you do that setup. So 12 minutes to set up, and then you can fire off videos as quickly as you can come up with ideas. It's really meant to be an efficient way to create things. So we went through the setup in OBS, what you have to do. We went through the very simple production process of how you create those instant talking head videos. And the secret to how to get it done, you got to go do it. I just gave you all the pieces necessary to creating high quality video content like that. And if you follow those steps, you can start creating right away. And as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, if you want to go further, feel free to type instant either into the chat in the meeting here or on into the live stream chat to be notified when the course that comes out on this material and the additional elements become available. You can also go to instant.vidwheel.com, where you can find this presentation deck, a replay of this presentation, and I will populate that course link as soon as it is available. And with that, I say thank you. And if you have any questions, I am happy to answer them. Okay.
So Neil,
Too much or good?
So if you had an animated background, or like you're the talking head, but you have, is that easy to insert that in
Yes.
in that space?
Yeah. So the final space there, right? If you were putting a background, are you talking about behind you while you're speaking?
Yeah.
So there are a couple different options there. To put an animated background behind you while you're speaking, there is a plugin you can put in OBS that'll do something like what you have going on now with the Zoom background removal. The other option is that you get a green screen, and it can do an even better job, right? Like you got to see my green screen, which most people don't, when I did that instant talking head video, which I left natural because that's I was trying to show the simplest form. But yeah, absolutely, that is an add-on that can be accomplished without too much trouble. So something I'll put in the course, I guess, I'll let you know, Bernie, when it's out. But yeah, you can do that. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, Brian, you're just saying yes, go for it. All right. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, different ways that you would or add-ons or anything that would make this type of video more interesting to you?
Quick question. I know with some of these software platforms, they are made for Windows or for Mac operating system. I happen to use Chrome OS on all my devices, and some of the platforms aren't available for Chrome OS. Do you happen to know?
I do not. You stumped me.
Okay.
No, it is. So I can tell you this as a starting point, and then I'm happy to get back to you. I would suspect it's not available as a Chrome plugin or Chrome OS, program. It is a natively Windows program, and it gets ported to a Mac as part of their, kind of software availability. But you will find things, or we found things within the VCN where, a feature might be available on the PC that is missing on the Mac or whatever, right? So there's some things like that. Stability seems to be a little bit better on the PC too. So, yeah, I can check on the Chrome OS, but I would suspect no, but I'll double check.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
Cool. Done. Go for it.
Do you have recommendations for length of the video that a person should? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes?
So it all depends on use, right? I tend to make a lot of my videos like this super short. And the reason is they get put on LinkedIn. And if you stay under a 15-second threshold on LinkedIn, it automatically replays your video, turns into a bit of a billboard type of thing. Versus we've all seen videos on LinkedIn, I'm sure, right? Anything longer, it plays through the video and then it pauses and just stays there. So it's that's often how I use this type of video specifically on LinkedIn. All right, excellent. Anyone else? Gina, you were unmuted for a moment. What's going on?
I just want to say that Neil, I think his biggest thing is once you set it up, it is so easy to do for you to do your own videos. I mean, I can tell you, once you figure out the little tweaks, once you do it, it is so easy. And I think it's overwhelming to start the production, but if you set it up and you test it out and you get that tweaked, it's really easy to pop these out and save them. And even I edit right on YouTube. Like if there's a snippet of an or something I want to cut out, I upload it to YouTube and edit it right there. So Neil can really teach you, as I say, to fish so you can do your own videos.
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. Yeah, that's a great point. The hardest part, like I said in the presentation, hardest part, right? Made a little bit of a joke about it, really is the setup. And after that, like you're creating video content in real time. When I do it myself, right? And I think a lot of you have seen what I put out on LinkedIn. I'll have the animated lower third, right? I have an animated end screen. You can add on some of those bells and whistles, but this is the base, right? The foundational setup. And so you go from this and you can kind of move forward with it. But I will say that I use similar techniques to this, and in making things like that instructional video that we just watched as part of the presentation, podcast and interview videos. There's a lot of different ways you can go with it once you get comfortable, and just kind of switching between scenes, setting things up in OBS, and getting the basics down. So, all right. Do we have any other questions? I am going to just check on our live streams. Nothing coming in there. So if anybody else in the room has anything, or we even get a moment for if we want to look deeper at anything or demo or anything like that. Go ahead, Don.
You did text over a color. Does OBS also support the ability to do those animated things that you were talking about?
Yes, yeah, they do. So I use an animated piece of video, right, with transparent background as a media source that would take the place of that color plus text. You can also there's a lot of inexpensive or even free web resources where you can get animated lower thirds and backgrounds and frames for your video. The website I typically recommend for that is nerdordie.com, which is part of a lesson I've already got written up that'll be in that course. So how to include those things and bring them into your video is part of the plan there. You would end up, just to give you the short version, you'd bring in a browser source versus the color source and the text overlay. So, all right. Right on. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
Neil, one other question. Other than MP4, are there any other file formats you would recommend using for specific applications, and would it work well on mobile devices, or it's independent?
That's a great question. So MP4s, I recommend that you record an MP4 primarily because they're the most widely used file format these days. So they're super compressed, so they're small. They're able to be read by every social media site you might upload to. Every video editor can handle them, whether it's Mac, PC, or otherwise. So yeah, MP4s now. So I recommend them. That's how I recommend to record. Now you might have seen at the bottom when I was making that adjustment, and whether it was legible or not, I don't know, but there was a bit of a warning. In the warning that that OBS puts out there is, if you stop, like if something goes haywire in the middle of recording a video, like you lose power or something like that, the MP4 will probably be ruined, versus that's why they recommend their own file format. Is it doesn't have to, not to get technical, but like it doesn't have to close the file envelope before completing the file. So the other format's, I guess, safer if you have a lot of power outages. I've never run into any issues with the MP4, I guess, is the short version. So good question. All right. Anyone else? Okay, I am going to move into the closing notes then here. And just have to find my spot in my notes. Thank you to all of you who joined us via the live stream, and thank you to everybody who came to the meeting itself. Don't miss out on our next Zoom meetup, a presentation by Samantha Pilling called Social Media Video Ads When Organic Reach Isn't Enough. You can find that in all future VidWheel events at events.vidwheel.com. Create confidently.